the committee amendment now.
The gentlewoman from Richmond City, Ms. McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the amendment.
Gentlewoman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, if this amendment passes, then state funding would not be able to be used for abortions in the case of a gross fetal abnormality. These are decisions that are not made lightly. Usually, these are pregnancies that were very much wanted, in some cases desperately wanted. I want to tell you very quickly one such story. It was a couple who had just suffered a miscarriage of their second child, their second child was stillborn because of an umbilical cord accident. But she very quickly got pregnant again. One of her ultrasounds showed that the fetus's spine was deformed, that it was pulling down the back of the brain, causing hydrocephalus and brain damage. The fetus was not capable of moving its legs because they were stuck in an upright position. Lung tissue was deformed, and the doctors didn't think that the lungs would function. This family got a second opinion and a third opinion. And they were left with the decision of continuing the pregnancy to term, having a C-section delivery, only to have the baby suffocate when the umbilical cord was cut. This family, both the husband and the wife, were federal government employees, so their health insurance wouldn't cover the abortion. At first, they didn't think that was a big deal because they had the money to pay out of pocket. With this amendment, for our poorest citizens, they would have to pay out of pocket because Medicaid would not cover that procedure. If they have health insurance out of the exchange, they wouldn't have coverage for that procedure. And the impact of that is threefold. If that family can't pay out of pocket, and the costs of these procedures range from $5,000 to $15,000, depending on whether you go to a clinic without anesthesia or a private practice with. Hospitals won't accept you to perform this procedure because if your insurance won't cover it, they consider you uninsured. If you can't raise that money right away and you wait until you can, and you have the procedure later in the pregnancy, you have an increase of an adverse outcome for the mother. These are very difficult decisions that none of us would ever want to find ourselves in a position to make. But they shouldn't have to make these decisions. The factor of whether they have the money to pay for it, the factor of whether they have to do this outside of a hospital setting should not be part of the decision. That family should be left to talk to each other, their doctor, and their God to decide what is best. And that's why I object to this amendment and ask you to vote no.
Mr. Speaker.